Excellent worship. Thank you, worship team. Awesome stuff. Hey, was that good worship or what? Was that great? Gotta be honest, I got a little bit of the goosies on that last one. I love that song. It's been a while since we've done that. Loved it. Hey, thank you for being with us today at Eudora Baptist. Today is the last Sunday of the month, so today is that day where we call it Family Sunday. So all family are here except for nursery kiddos. But if you got a wiggly one and you're saying, hey, is there church, children's church today? There is not. There's no children's church. We got a wiggly room, so if you have that need, which our family has that need, and we take it up quite often. And so if you have that need, we got that room right there with the windows. So if that is a need for you and your family. So here we are, Simple Life. This is actually, I think, the third sermon. We are on relationships. We're going to talk about making a selfless commitment to healthy relationships. In junior high, this was really popular in my day. It came out in 1975. Has anyone ever owned a mood ring? All right, that's quite a few of us. And so we would have these little jokes. There's this girl that was not very nice to me. And in junior high, I was probably about 70 pounds, soaking wet. And so girls were taller than me. They were bigger than me. And so just to get back at them, I'd have to stand up for myself saying, ooh, it's a black kind of day for Dana today. Dana's not doing too good. And so we would tease and rub and all that kind of stuff. But wouldn't it be nice? If you're black, it means you're tense, angry, stressed. But really, it doesn't go off of your emotions. Everybody knows that. It actually goes by temperature. But whenever, when you're young, it's a cool, fun thing. But not just a young thing. Wouldn't it be great if everybody had their own respective mood ring? So that you know what you're walking into. So that you know, oh no, I went to the whatever today, the post office, the bank, the restaurant. I woke up today and I saw this hanging above Bethany, what color she is, and I'm like, all right, we're good to go. Wouldn't it be nice to have those? The more I think about it, the more I'm buying into the idea of everyone having a mood ring that maybe it's like a little flashy symbol up above their head or something. Just nice to have that detection. Well, some people, they don't roll very well with others. Whenever they're in an awkward situation, or maybe it doesn't matter the situation, it is just flat out awkward. In that they don't want to be near people, they just pull away. Well, there's a guy, I think I got it right here, Christopher Thomas Knight. Has anybody ever heard of this fella? Christopher Thomas Knight, he is famous for being the last hermit. In 1986, he got so tired of being around people, he took his car, drove it as far as it would go until the gas ran out, and he pulled off to the side of the road. He tried to hide the car a little bit. He didn't pay it off. His brother was the co-signer on it, and they had to pay for it after that. But anyways, he was a recluse. He was a hermit for not just 27 days, not 27 weeks, 27 years. He hid in the woods of Vermont. And every once in a while, he would go and scavenge the local places, the local cities, and people's resort homes, and some of the camps. And what he would do is he would not take anything valuable. That was a no-no. But what he would do is he would take their snacks. He would take all of their cereal. He would take the food that he wanted. And sometimes he would borrow their magazines or books. And he would even take them back after he was done with them. Really nice guy. So what would happen over the course of 27 years, they said that they know of, there was reportedly 1,000 burglaries that took place in those 27 years. So just the reported ones, that's 40 a year that they know of. And they said people would come home and they'd be like, it was right there. What'd you do with my stuff? I mean, Bethany and I get in this argument sometimes. What happened to this? Usually it's because somebody this tall took off with it. In this case, it was a grown man snuck in their house, left it just the way it's supposed to be, but he'd take all the stuff that he liked. Anyways, Christopher Thomas Knight is a super bright guy. He just didn't work well in relation to others. It was just an awkwardness for him. He was, I think, an accountant. Kind of fitting for some people might think that's kind of fitting. Thank you. That was good. He just had a tough time. So this is what he said. After 27 years, they set up a sting operation, busted him. They thought it'd be some kid or somebody, big old beard and all that. The beard there and the center is after he was in jail for however so long, but he came in clean shaved. He had long hair. He went to somebody else's house and shaved his beard in their house, used their sink, washed it all down. Hey, thanks for the shaving cream. Anyways, and so all of a sudden he walks in, and this ranger guy had set up this sting operation and busted him. There's a book called The Last Hermit, and he says this. Listen to this. I lost my identity. There was no audience, no one to perform for. There was no need to define myself. I became irrelevant. That's such a sad thing. I became irrelevant. The more I thought about this statement, I think a lot of us, we're in a crowd of people. You're in a crowd of school. You have all these people that you're with at work. And some of us, we feel like we're invisible. Sometimes you just feel like someone gets lost in the crowd. This guy was absolutely lost from society, but I think some of us have the same feelings that he had. He says, my desires dropped away. I didn't long for anything. I didn't even have a name. To put it romantically, I was completely free. He is free, but he was in such need of others. He is in such need of supplies. In fact, one time, imagine this, 27 years, not talking to but one person, and he said one word. There's a guy backpacking that was walking through, and they just crossed paths. What was the word he said? Hi. 27 years, the one word you get, hi. And that was it. That's all that he had. What we're doing is we're going through this simple life study. We understand that we have four areas that they discovered in the Simple Life study that people are so desperately in need of help. One is their time, and I think we all found that out in my life group. Bethany and I, as we went through it, we realized we just don't have a whole lot of time for one another. First time in 3.5 years, Bethany and I had breakfast without any kids, like going out to a restaurant. We went to the beach house here in town. Hey, that's a good food, a cool location. First time we go, have we done this in a while? We started thinking, no, it's been like 3.5 years. We've always had a kid or a baby or whatever. Relationally, we have relational difficulties. So time, relationships. What's the next one? Of course, finances. We'll talk about that in a couple weeks. But then also we need help in our area of our relationship with God. So that's what we're going to be doing here pretty soon. But today we're going to focus on relationships. So in the book, if you're following along in the book study, you will know that there are 1,077 Simple Life Survey participants. Of those participants, 79% are Christians, 21% are not Christians at this time and when they took the survey. I wanted to share some of the good ones with you, and so you will actually be doing some of these in your study this week, but I wanted to give you a teaser. Here we go. First one. 45% of Christians teach their children how to have a relationship with God. On the other side, of non-Christians, 14% teach their children how to have a relationship with God. That first one sticks out to me. It's kind of funny. If they don't know God, it's funny that 14% of them say, but I want my kids to know about God. I want them to know not just about Him, but how to have a specific, how to have a relationship with God. Found that very interesting. The other interesting thing is only 45%, my little red dot thing works, 45% of Christians teach their children how to have a relationship with God. We really got some work to do on that one. That just scared me. 61% of Christians strongly agree that they have a strong marriage. And notice this, non-Christians, only 49%. Now, I know that there's ancillary benefits. That's a huge benefit. I'll take the 12% all day long. If you have not given Jesus a serious consideration, you'll see some of these statistics, and I'm going to go, hey, it's worth the look. If you believe Jesus is worth looking into, let me hear you say amen. Amen. He wants to bless you. He wants to be with you. He wants to help you. He wants you to have a wonderfully strong marriage. But unfortunately, only 61% of Christians say that theirs are strong. And only 49%, right about half, of non-Christians say that their marriage is strong. One more. 59% of Christians strongly assess their parenting skills as good. And some of these, it's going to be very subjective. Who says it's good, it's okay, it's above average, whatever. But then 47% of non-Christians strongly assess their parenting skills as good. Again, hey, it's good to be Christian, huh? I'll take the 12%. No amens on that one. It's all right. Okay, here we go. Next one, more research. 69% of wives strongly agree they would marry the same spouse again. Anyone give it another shot? Huh? All right. Just did a wedding yesterday. She said yes. All right. No one got that joke. No one got that joke. Golly. You awake this morning? 60% of husbands said that they would marry their spouse again. So yesterday it was the coolest, most almost surreal kind of thing. Same church in which Bethany and I were married in, and I got to talk to the bride and groom. It's my little cousin that got married. She was our flower girl. I've told you this story. She was the one that came right before Bethany. It was just so adorable, and it's so funny watching her come down the aisle. And I can't picture her as the grown-up adult version. I only picture the little girl tossing out flower petals. So it's just really cute. But at that church, the door was on the side where the people enter. All bridal party people entered from the side of the room, not from the center. So right when the guy in my position says, "All rise," everybody stands up, and you can't see her. And all these other people can see her and watch her until she makes that turn, and then she's right there. It was so neat. It was a cool time. But it kind of breaks my heart a little bit. Only 69% of wives, 60% of husbands. But look at this. 66% of Christians strongly agree that they would marry the same spouse again. So 2 out of 3, one out of every 3. There's someone's not diving in on that one. 54% of non-Christians strongly agree that they would marry the same spouse again. Again, good reasons to consider Christianity and taking a serious look at it if you are not a Christian at this time. Okay, just got a little bit more. 60% of couples would like their spouse to demonstrate love for them. And on the flip side, only 36% of couples strongly agree their spouses offer words of encouragement to them. I thought that was interesting. So you might be thinking, well, what do you mean by demonstrate love? The book gives us some examples. This is verbatim what the people said. Number 1, I wish he would help with just a little of the housework. Any ladies ever utter that one? Don't have to raise your hands. Here we go, next one. I would be happier if she showed more interest in my work. Next one. Why can't she just try to enjoy watching one football game with me? And just being honest, I did not submit that one. I was not part of the survey, but I've maybe uttered that one before. Next. I would love a shoulder rub without having to ask him. Bethany did not submit that one, though I'm pretty sure I've heard that one before. Here we go. Flowers. This one made me feel so bad. Flowers, just once a year, unexpected, no special occasion. How many ladies are going, that would be nice? Oh, I got a quick hand. I'm not going to call you out on who it was, but her husband is cracking up right now. All right, that was so good, thank you. All right, next one, flowers. It's a good idea. It's a great idea. I've never received flowers, by the way, but she's received flowers. Just saying. All right. Right after I said that, I ran into the podium. That's fitting. All right. It, like Charlie horsed me right there, too. That kind of hit me just right. Okay, we need to have more grown-up talk. This one we have said. All of our conversations are with the kids or about the kids. How many moms and dads have been in that boat? Absolutely. Good grief. We've been there. Next one. He went. I don't know if I want to read it, but I don't know if she said this, but I like to evaluate myself and think I do all right, but something that this might be hitting a little close to home. He would shock me if he unloaded the dishwasher one evening. So there you go. All right. And then the last one. I wish he would spend as much time with me as he does with his computer. Those are some ways in which that husbands and wives said, this is how you can demonstrate. This is how you can verbalize it. This is something that would be so special to me, and it would go a long way, just this tiny little thing. And the more you think about it, you're like, just once doing the dishes, just once sending flowers just randomly, just once trying to go in and, hey, I'll give you a back massage without you having to ask for it. All those things are going, those are so simple and easy to do. But yet we just kind of get so busy. Again, it's that time, relationships, finances, in our relationship with God, we get so busy with life that we just kind of forget about the little things. So here we go, last one on parents. The parents that say they feel that they strongly really know their kids. If they're less than 6 years of age, 73% say, I have strong feelings that I really know my kid. But then it drops down to 58% when the child's between 9 to 11, 48% when the child is 12 to 18, and 43% when the oldest child is above the age of 19. When the oldest child, not when all of them are out, but when that one's 19, how well do I really know my kids? Again, I think what happens? Life just happens and it overwhelms us sometimes. And so that's why we're going through this book, the Simple Life Action Plan. So what is the action plan? What's the strategy? Well, it is simply this. Where is the relationship need that is the greatest in your life? Which one is the greatest need? Is it spouse related? Is it child? Is it parent? Is it friend? Maybe it's an adversary. Number 2, define how you will make it better. And this is the catch. This is what we got to be careful not to do. So if you say, well, I just want to be a better dad. Now, that's a good idea. That's a good thing to have as a want, but it doesn't state the how. So that's why we got to focus on number 2 there, that we need to keep it achievable, brief, incremental, and accountable. So let's illustrate that with running a marathon. I had a buddy of mine that wanted to run a marathon, and the marathon was like a month away. And he's doing all this fundraising. Hey, would you sponsor me for this marathon? All the proceeds are going to go towards, what's the child thing? No. I apologize. It went to something related to kids. I don't remember what it was off the top of my head. It was a buddy of mine, and so he was a guy that hadn't run in years. He hadn't run for a very long time. His goal was to run a marathon in 1 month. His desire, this first week I'm going to work from 4 miles to 7 miles. Week 2, I want to go from 7 to 11 miles. Then I'm going to go from like 11 to 15, and then I'll get to that place. 26.2 miles is a marathon. So guess what happened? The first week, he tried to go at least 4 to 7 miles every single day, and he did a lot of walking and a lot of running, but he ended up injuring his foot, and he didn't even get to do the marathon. And we get back to achievable. I love the guy to death, but it was not an achievable goal for him. It was too ambitious. It was way too much. It was unrealistic. And so keep it as something that's achievable. Keep it as something that's brief. And so like if you're going to do running, the first thing you start off with is, hey, I want to do a 5K, not a marathon. I want to do a 5K, which is 3.1 miles. And so if I can run for a mile straight, great. Then I'll walk for a while, and then I'll try to run a little bit more. Whatever your goals are, make them achievable. Make them brief. I'm going to suddenly run for 2 hours every day. And you haven't run for how long? You're going to run for 2 hours. So that's where keep it brief, keep it incremental. So you go from in a marathon, you want to do a 5K, and then you want to do the 10K, 6.2, and then you do a half marathon, and then you work your way up to the marathon. We need to do the same thing in our goals. This is one that, so I said, as a dad, what would be one that we could say? That I'll spend 30 minutes a day with my kids, not in front of the TV, not whenever there's whatever activity thing, but that we are going to have quality time together. And that I'll not say harsh words to them for 10 days. It's a challenge maybe for 10 days. It might be a challenge for 30 minutes. But what are the things that you can do that are measurable? They're achievable, they're brief, they're incremental, but you have somebody also to hold you accountable. That you would have somebody to be your encourager through that. Not to say, hey, did you do A through Z, but someone to just check in and say, how you doing on that? I just want to see how you're doing. Do I need to help you with anything? Everything going all right? Anyways, Tom Rainer, he said this. Many marriages aren't aligned because commitment is lacking. He said it's not that there isn't the desire to have the commitment, but as we talked about last week, we are too busy with all these other things. And with me having to do all these other things, was that a jack of all trades, master of none? That as I try to do all these things to fit in my life, that it now has stolen away from my commitment to the things that are most precious to me. Last week we said that you need to write out your schedule. I don't know who did this. Write out your schedule and then write out your priorities. Where do they line? Where is their alignment? And what are the things that are robbing you from sticking to your priorities? And that's what feeds into this. It's not because there isn't a desire, but it's the commitment is lacking because there's so many other things going on in most cases. So here we go. How do we, how do we do this? How do we fulfill it? What is it that we hold on to? Yesterday I'm at this wedding. I'm standing there. The kids come forward. We stand in front of all the people. There's one passage they wanted me to read. What did they want me to read? 1 Corinthians 13, the love chapter. Real quick question. What comes before 1 Corinthians 13? And don't say 1 Corinthians 12. But what's the topic? Who remembers the topic? It's about spiritual gifts. Paul does not do a sudden segue in the middle of, or the latter part of 1 Corinthians and say, oh, and by the way, I was going to say this to all the people getting married. This is really good material. Pay attention. Oh, all the husbands and wives, this is what you need to come back to. No, this is a message to the church. This is a message to us. This is the love that we are supposed to have for one another, that we live out, that comes from us, and that is from inside of us. That's from the Holy Spirit actively at work in us. Love is patient. Love is kind. Love does not envy. It is not boastful. It is not conceited. Love does not act improperly. It's not selfish. It's not provoked. And does not keep a record of wrongs. You see, the beginning of 1 Corinthians 13 says, love is the superior way. As all these people are trying to champion and say, oh, I got the best spiritual gift. Oh, my gift is this. Oh, my gift is. Paul comes in and says, it doesn't matter if it's prophecy. It doesn't matter if it's speaking in tongues. It doesn't matter what it is. If you don't have love, then you're just a loud noise. Just as a clanging cymbal. He says, this should be the heart of how we live, how we relate, not just in my marriage, absolutely in my marriage, but everywhere. This is who I am called to be as a follower of Christ, is to live this out. The word there is agape. This is the God love. This is that sacrificial. This is that unconditional love. So he fleshes it out for us. So let me just go over these real quick. What does he mean by patience? Obviously, impatience is the opposite, but I'm putting myself in a position where I'm going to say, you can go before me. I'm going to put myself in a position to say, we're going at your pace. I got a little 2-year-old and a little 3.5-year-old. What do kids teach parents? Patience. Oh, man, and I'm not a good learner, but when you have to go anywhere and it takes forever, and then when you go to walk, we got these, I don't know what the size of the tiles are in our kitchen, but I was trying to look to see how big the steps are that my littlest one takes. It takes them 2 steps to make 1 tile in our kitchen. And I'm covering like 2 or 3 of them per. So anyways, I stick a finger down. He holds my finger. It's one of my favorite things. That's going to be hard when that doesn't happen anymore. He grabs hold of my finger. Come on, let's go. And I'll start moving, and my arm goes back. And then I just slow it down. Okay, let's go. And we're going at his pace. We have to learn to be patient. I'm not going to force you to go at my pace. I'm going to slow myself down because I love you. Because I'm going to have loving patience. The next one is kindness. And what Paul uses in this word, it's not just a haphazard random thing. The word has intentionality. So at this wedding, yes, I keep reflecting on the wedding. It was last night, so it's on my mind. There's all these girls wearing dresses, and this is my go-to for dresses. And the girls that wear them here in this church, you've heard me say this before, but all these little girls are coming through the line. I'm holding a box that has bubbles, because we're all going to blow bubbles as they exited the church. And so I'm holding this box, and all these little girls come up. They got bows on, they got dresses on, and I have the same line pretty much every time. I love your boys. Where's the girl? There we go. Sorry, guys. Didn't want to say it to you boys. You wouldn't like that. Anyways, so all of a sudden I go, oh, I love your dress. It looks so cute. I wish I had one just like it. And they go, they do that little thing, and then they just keep going. That it is an intentional thing. I want to be kind. I want to share a nice word. I want to do a polite, loving action. It takes intentionality to be kind. You don't just randomly go, hey, good looking outfit there. It takes prompting from within. Okay, love does not envy. It's when the heart says, I want that. It is a selfishness. What you have, hey, I'll take some of that take some over here, please. It is not boastful. There's a roommate my brother had. He was a great roommate, great guy, so fun, but he had the nickname of the one-up king. Does anybody know what the one-up king is all about? Yeah, you guys know. Whatever your story is, oh, that's so neat. Oh, you lost a limb? I lost my whole arm, and it was like this. Whatever your story is, yours is here, and his was up here. He would just beat you every time. We were together last night with family. Someone told a story, and I will not forget, the person by me says, I got one better. And the first thing that came to my mind was, ooh, you're saying your story's good, but look, mine's even better. That when we get to boasting, it is a promotion of self. And how do I promote self? By stepping up on you. It's about me. It's about putting myself first. And it's so funny that Paul does this. First he says it's not boastful. Next he says it's not conceited. Boastful is that I'm promoting myself. I'm pushing up on you. And then the conceit is when it's more of the intellectual. I don't have to verbalize it, but I'm going to be so conceited I'm not going to mix with it. I'm not going to be a part of. I'm not going to associate with. It is more of the intellectual feeling of that. I'm not going to be a part of those things. It's a focus, again, on self. Does not act improperly. That is to show disrespect. That an act of love is saying, I'm going to show you the respect that you are due. Not just because we go to the same church, but because you're a human being. It doesn't matter the religion, it doesn't matter the race, it doesn't matter what it is. I'm going to show you the respect that you are due. And so I'm not going to be acting improperly. The next one is selfish. I'm just going to put myself before anybody else. As soon as that buffet line comes up, I go running right up to the front. I'm not going to be selfish. I'm going to put myself first. Is not provoked. The phrasing for is not provoked in some translations might say will not be easily angered. I don't know about you, but you turn on the news and somebody's outraged. I'm outraged. Whatever it is, I'm outraged. Somebody's outraged about something. And so whatever that means to let people know about it, maybe they get it on a news channel, maybe they kneel at a football game, whatever it is, I'm outraged. It's to be provoked. It's to let little things or big things, whatever they may be, that they overwhelm my feelings and I just get outraged. I get angered over every little thing. And then the last one, does not keep a record of wrongs. Oh, you heard me, did you? I'm going to remember that. I'm going to write your name down. I'm going to put it in my little secret pocket that's right by my heart. So that when it comes around, when all of a sudden if you do something, I'm going to let you have it because I'm keeping a record. I'm holding a grudge. And again, that's the opposite. That's the opposite of love. 1 Thessalonians 5:14. We urge you, brothers, admonish the idle. Get on to them. Let them have it. The unruly, those that are disobedient, insubordinate is the word. Admonish the idle. Encourage the faint-hearted. The faint-hearted, those who by fear or by doubt, that they're just scared. Encourage them, lift them up. It says, help the weak. Those that are maybe it's moral or maybe it's spiritual. To help them out, to come alongside them and say, I'm going to be with you each and every step. It's an act of love. And then it gets back to the very beginning of 1 Corinthians 13:4. Love is patient, he says in 1 Thessalonians 5:14. Be patient with them all. Again, not my spiritual gift. Oh man, I'm just not good at that. I'm not good at slowing down and saying, okay, I'll go at your pace. But that's my calling. That's our responsibility. Forgiveness, acts of goodness. To say, I'm going to slow down and go at the pace at which you are at or that you're comfortable with because your needs and your desires, your life is more important than mine. I'm going to be humble enough to not just say it, but to live it out. So on my chest, I got this little scar. I got a scar right there. If I'm going to be manly, it's on my pec. My pectoral, I got a scar right there, right where your heart would be. And so kids will see, when kids have seen me, I don't hardly ever do it anymore because, white guy. Anyways, you don't want to see me without my shirt on. So I got this mark right there on my chest, and kids will be like, what happened to your chest? What's that? What's that scar from? I don't have hardly any scars, but I got that one. And they'll see that, and I'll go, I grew up in Illinois. I grew up in the Quad Cities. there was a drive-by, and I just let him go with it. I was like, yeah, I got hit by a ricochet. And anyway, so that's my little fun thing that I do, but I got a scar right here. And so I give whatever goofy story, whatever the thing may be, just whatever tale to spin, just for funsies. And then I finally said, it's a chicken pox scar. I was a little kid, and I picked it or whatever, and so I got a little chicken pox scar. That's all it is. But anyways, kids think, oh, you got a bullet wound. Yes, I do. All right. It's fun. Everybody enjoys it. See? Anyways, so I got this scar, and I had one surgery over here on my arm. I had my lymph nodes swollen up. They thought I might have cancer. Anyway, so I only got 2 on my whole body. Only 2 things I can think of. Sometimes we see scars, and it's almost like the battle wound that's like, it gets the one-up thing. They're the coolest thing. Everyone's got a story. Yours is probably not a chicken pox scar. Hopefully it's a lot better than that. But when you see a wound, oh, you got a scar? You want to see my scar? And then everyone's like showing off scars. Look at this. Oh, the motorcycle, the whatever. I did this. And it's like kind of a fun thing to show off your scars. Because what does somebody say when they're telling others about their scars? You would never believe what happened. Okay, you gotta tell me now. Okay, I want to hear this. Oh, it went all the way back to the beginning. It is like a fun thing to hear about people's scars. Because it's a funny story 9 times out of 10. But the thing that we don't talk about are the scars that are underneath. The scars that are not visible to everybody else. Not visible to the naked eye. It's the ones that was a broken heart. It's the time that I got hurt way back when. Well, back in high school, this embarrassing thing, whatever it was. This one thing that somebody said, and I can even hear the tone of their voice, and I know every word they said that came from their mouth. And it's a scar in my heart. So Bethany and I, we had a bit of a scar. It's a scare scar. On Wednesday, I got up and I went for a run about 6:45. Got this little loop. I go walk for a little bit and then I start running. We live at the corner of Stratton, right back there behind the church. Stratton Drive and Fur goes north and south. I went for this jog and I come back. And as I come back, I can see up the street, there's a car in the middle of the street just sitting there. There's these 2 ladies that are standing kind of near a mailbox, a community mailbox over there at Shadow Ridge. That's where we got community ones. And then there's these 2 police officers. And so they had parked their cruiser on the whatever street that other one is that goes east and west. And I was like, well, that's funny. So I ran right by our house, and I go to the end of Fur, the very north part, and it's dead end, and it's the field right between our church and there. And I stop and I turn back around and I walk, and I'm doing my cool down. As I'm doing my cool down, I'm looking down, not paying attention, and all of a sudden I look up, and the police cruiser isn't there anymore. The lady's red SUV is there, and the 2 ladies are on the sidewalk still talking. Well, one's kind of in the street, the other one's on the sidewalk. And I'm thinking, well, that's funny. Okay, whatever. And I look up, and I notice that now Bethany is on our front porch talking to the 2 police officers that were just in the area that I'm walking right past. And I'm thinking, oh, well, that's weird. I better. And it hits me. The worst thing that I thought of was our dog got ran over by that red car. That's the thought that came to my mind. And I'm like, oh, no, because he got loose ever so recently. I'm thinking, oh, this is going to be bad. So I jog on down, and I had left the garage door open. We got 2 garage doors. Not the doorway from the house to the garage, but the garage door. So I left it open so I could air out the garage. And the first thing the police officer says, you Jeff? I said, yeah. I said, everything all right? And he goes, did you leave the garage door open? And I thought the news was coming. I'm like, oh, no. He says, your 2-year-old. And my first thought was, how old is our dog? You know, that's what I'm doing. I'm doing that in my head, and I'm like, who talks about a dog like, oh, and I see Bethany's face, and I finally realize he's not talking about our dog, he's talking about our youngest son. Erickson had put on my flip-flops, and he had shuffled himself. Somehow he got the door to the garage open. He got out, and he went out the garage door that I had left open, and with those my shoes on his little feet, he had shuffled all the way way across Stratton Drive, and then just had enough with my sandals and just threw them in the neighbor's yard, and then went and saw the mailbox. He saw the mailbox, and there's those little, and you got a package mailbox, the bottom of the mailbox community deal. We have a thing. When I go get the mail, I take the boys with me. Oh, what's in there? You see it? Can you get it? And then they're little tiny hands that can reach in and grab it real easy. I can't, anyways, pain in the butt getting those stinking pieces of mail out there. So they get it, they grab it. Oh, you want to hold that one? Oh, hand that one to me. I'll carry that. And we do this fun little family thing of going to the mailbox. And he saw the mailbox. And he just was having a good old time playing. And this lady that I had run right past was the gal that found him playing at a mailbox. About, 90 yards from our house. And I felt absolutely horrible. Bethany's bloodshot eyes. She had already had her crying times. I don't know if she had another one after that, but I felt so bad. I'm looking, and so I'm talking to these police officers. Hey, thank you so much. See you later. Appreciate it. Blah, 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 and so on. And everything hits you after that. What if? What if? What if? And I felt like the worst dad in the world. I felt so horrible. And so Bethany and I don't mean to speak for her, but she put it on, I knew I could share it because she put it on Facebook. I didn't say a word to anybody until she said, oh, this is the scariest thing. So I didn't say anything until that happened, but now we have a scar on our hearts. Did the garage door get closed? Did the fence gate get closed? Did the whatever? All these ideas that keep popping in our minds because of the what ifs. And that idea hits you. What if something would have happened because of my negligence? That's what I was thinking. That's about me, about Jeff. And it just scares the bejeebers out of you. That's a relationship. That's our son. That's our second boy, this cute little guy. I should have thrown a photo up. He's so stinky. He's so fun. I don't know what the scars are in your heart of your relationships, of your struggles, that you don't see them on the outside, but they're there on the inside. And everybody in this room would say, that's the love that I want to have. That's the love that I desire to have. That's what I want to live out. But what is your action plan? What are the steps that you're going to take to get there? What's the relationship that you need to dive into, that you need to reconnect with, or just you need to go and say, man, I'm sorry. I was just being so egotistic. I was just being foolish, whatever it is. And I'll go, man, I love you. Okay, absolutely, I forgive you. So keep it achievable. Keep it brief. Keep it incremental. Have somebody be with you for an accountability partner. Would you bow your heads and close your eyes with me? As the worship team comes up, they're going to lead us in this time. As we just simply try to run back to the Father. That we run to Him. God, what is it that you desire of us as we look in the area of relationships? And then there's some people that as soon as I started talking about this morning, that person has been front and center in their mind this whole time. And there's fear, there's anxiety, there's worries. How am I going to say this? How am I going to? Father, I just want to ask and pray that you would give them the words, that you'd give them the want to, the motivation, the desire, that you'd give them the 1 Corinthians 13 love, whether it's patience or kindness, or to get rid of conceit, to get rid of boasting, to get rid of the selfishness of that. God, that we would say, I'm going to put that other person before myself. Because I love them. They're worth it. They're my family. They're my friend. They're my buddy or gal that I grew up with. And Lord, maybe there's some people in this room, as we're talking about people, that the person that they have put on the back burner, the person that they have left out of their lives, the person that they have just kept at bay, a stiff arm's length. Maybe it's you. And then there's some people today. What they need to do is they need to run back to you. That their goal, their desire is going to be to recommit their life to you. To get into your word, to have a prayer life, to be involved, to serve you, to love others. And so, Lord, I pray that you just again, may you give us the wisdom as to what we need to do. Give us the courage to do it. That we would give your Holy Spirit authority and freedom to move in our hearts, that causes a move in our mind, that causes a move in our limbs, so that we will act upon it. And it's not about what other people see, it's not about what other people think, but that, God, that we would just simply follow you. Help us to simplify our lives, to get rid of the stress, to get rid of the busyness, and that we can love one another. It's in Jesus' name we pray, amen. On your bulletin on the bottom right, there's